Good morning, everyone. So, we're really close now to Season 2. So I thought I'd make a fun little video and do a conclusion tier list for Season 1. Now, this is just me having fun. Don't take this video too seriously. I didn't put much thought into this. It's just that we've done a couple tier lists throughout the first season of Street Fighter V, and I thought it'd be great to just have a grand finale on what my last thoughts are. This is just my opinion. And I haven't followed the tournament scene, especially the ending portion of Street Fighter V, too closely. But I feel like this list should be made so I have something to basically refer to when we see all the changes to the Season 2 notes and how the characters, some characters are going up, some characters are going down. And it'd just be nice to cross-compare with how I felt in Season 1. So, I'm not going to go exactly from a best character to worst character. This will not be in order. I'm just putting characters into grades. So all the names on the left don't mean they're better than the names on the right in the same category. It's just they're all in the same category. That's all I mean. So there is, let's start with A+. I don't think there's any characters that are S tier. I think S tier characters are broken in some way. They have something that they really can exploit that other characters just can't handle, and you have an insane advantage. S tier in my mind is something like Third Strike Chun-Li, for example, would be S tier. Anyways, A+ is as high as we go, and that is only one character, and that is Chun-Li. I think this has been done to death on why Chun-Li is the best character in the game and why she's in our own tier alone in Street Fighter V. But if you really must know, she's got just absolutely insane normals, insane movement speed, one of the best V triggers in the game, great comeback factor, insane meterless damage, a good fireball, you know, blah 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 blah. It's really funny because in the beta days, I remember saying like Chun-Li is just so bad, and I used to talk about her V skill so much. But to be fair, other characters in the beta phases of the game did get nerfed pretty hard. I'm thinking mostly like M. Bison, even Ryu got nerfed, and but Chun-Li has risen to the top for sure. I think out of all tier lists that I've seen from many different players and pros alike, I think everyone can come to an agreement that Chun-Li is the best of the best. So moving on to just A grade, I put 5 characters in A, and once again, this is not an order of best to worst on left to right, it's just all A's. We have Armika, Cammy, Ken, Necalli, and Nash. So we have 3 characters in this tier that have meterless DPs, just so you know. Let's start with Armika. Armika is definitely a wildcard character. When me and Killy did the tier list midway through Street Fighter V, we really put a lot of thought into this, and Mika was one of the hardest characters for us to predict on where she would land on the tier list. It's just tough because she does have weaknesses. She does technically have a bad neutral. If you're arguing with someone on Theory Fighter, you would say, and you look at Mika on paper, you would say, damn, this character is not that good. She can't be top tier. But just the way Street Fighter V, the meta is, how it's a very momentum-based meta, and how Mika has insane comeback factor and could put you in the corner on a single button with insane damage pushing to the corner. And the amount of 50-50 mix-ups in a game where 50-50s are pretty rare. Mika is just such a wildcard character, and I think that she deserves to be at the top of the list with the other characters because of that. Even though she does have some big weaknesses in the neutral, it's just that eventually Mika player will get in, and you will be faced in a situation where you have to guess, and it just gives her so much power, and she can create these 50-50 situations without meter anywhere on the screen. So Mika's up there. Cammy's got one of the most craziest pressure in the game. We used to put Cammy pretty low, me and Killy, put her somewhere in the middle, because we figured, you know, she gets down backed really hard. But the thing is, with Cammy, a lot of the Cammy players now using the standing light kick and block pressure, she just does not get pushed back. She's always in your face. She can stick to you like glue once she's in. If you can't stop her EX dive kicks, you are screwed. And even though she doesn't have an overhead, it's just, she still has so much pressure anyways without that. Just the throw and her normals alone. And she's got an invincible meterless reversal. Next up is Ken. Ken has a lot of things that he can exploit for sure. Run cancel has always been an issue. Sure, you can definitely, if you anticipate, you can definitely stop it. But just the way with how the game is a very momentum-based game. Some people just cannot simply react to it when you're paying attention to so many different things, including air, EX, Tatsu, and just jumping Tatsu has got a weird janky hitbox. Ken's also got one of the best crush counters in the game with standing hard kick, which you can easily confirm into 1,000,000 damage, throw loops, and a mirrorless invincible reversal. Ken is Ken. I try not to refer too much online. I try to refer to most of the stuff offline. Necalli is another character that me and Killy, midway through the season, didn't say he was too strong because he was so V-trigger dependent. But after players started realizing how powerful and reliable Necalli's V skill actually is, it gives him so much V gauge. For a character with 3-bar V-trigger, Necalli can get that 3-bar V-trigger before some characters can get their 2 bars, just because of how much V-gauge his V-skill gives, and it's a decent projectile as well. It's slow startup, but it is instant. It pounds it right where the opponent is standing. You can use it as a footsie tool, and it makes the opponent nervous because when you're doing it, he's got to gamble between jumping in on you, and if he does, you can land a DP. Also, his projectile causes a knockdown, his V-skill I'm talking about. Necalli's got a command grab. He's got an overhead. He's got an invincible DP, meterless. What else can be said? Necalli is also... A lot of people think that when he activates V-Trigger, he's the best character in the game. So, Necalli is up there in A. Next up, Nash. Nash is a character that I like to always tease about all the time. I always say, he's top 3. But Nash does have some weaknesses. All serious aside, he does have some weaknesses. For sure. He has some problems against some characters. But Nash still has some things, especially his -8, his medium kick scythe, his ridiculous dashing, and his back dashing especially. He is a character that has charge-based moves that aren't charge-based. Even though Nash has problems against pressure, the thing about Nash is that he controls so much space, and he's so fast that he can not put himself in those situations in the first place. So, yeah, Nash. Really good conversions on his normals as well. Standing medium punch in particular is really good for Nash. So I think Nash deserves to be there in A, and yeah, that's finally where we put him. A- category now. So you guys notice you didn't see Ryu. I think Ryu is in the A- category. Now Ryu, a lot of people think he is top 3, and I do agree that Ryu is a super good character, and he's also the only character that I put in A- and below that has a mirrorless uppercut. But I think that Ryu does struggle in some matchups. I think he has problems against characters that can really deal with projectiles, such as Nash, Balrog, Cammy, even Vega. And I think because of that, that gives Ryu some problems. His Fireball really is one of his main tools, and when a character can deal with that, it does give Ryu some problems. Even though Ryu does have some really crazy shit, especially his jumping leg kick and his back hard kick, especially, are really abusable tools that he has. That's why, but I think Ryu is up there, but he has just some weaknesses that hold him back, I would say, from the top characters. There could be some controversy with some people on me saying this, but that's just my final thoughts on Ryu. Next up is Urien. Even though Urien was the last DLC character that came out and we have the least amount of information on, I think it's pretty clear that people can agree that Urien is definitely going to be an absolute monster in Season 2. And we've seen some players just push him at the very end of the year, like RB. And you can really see the potential of Urien. His V-trigger is really strong. It's got a lot of crazy things. Even his super is good. Some characters can't V-reversal it. And his Aegis Reflector has got a really good comeback factor. But the thing is, Urien doesn't even need it. He doesn't even need that V-trigger. He can body you with his normals alone. Urien's normals are really, really good. Even though he doesn't have a cross-up right now, he doesn't need it. He can stand his ground and really pressure you. His projectile is decent. And yeah, Urien's just strong, man. I think that Urien is definitely up there, especially in terms of the DLC characters, and the character has a lot of potential. I would honestly think that if Urien came out earlier, maybe midway through the first year of Season 1, I would probably put him in A, honestly. I think Urien is that good. And I think people agree with that too. Next up, we have Guile. Guile is really, really strong. A lot of good Guile players this year, showing off the power of not even using his V-trigger, just saving his 3 V-gauge stock for 3 V-reversals alone. Guile can really damage you down just trying to get in on him in the first place, and Guile is no slouch up close, especially with his upside down kick. counter hit medium punch to crouching medium punch conversions. He's really strong. His EX Sonic Boom is one of the best projectiles in the game. Hella powerful. Good anti-airs, flash kicks. Guile is just really, really strong. Of course, he's got some small weaknesses that hold him back from being up there in A, but looks like he's getting a lot of strengths in Season 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the best characters in the game in Season 2. Next up, we have Karen, or Karine. Karen's got some fundamental flaws, especially with her special moves. We've seen it a lot just before, even before the game came out. We can see some problems with Karen, but you just can't deny that she's got some of the best normals in the game. Decent movement speed, crouching hard kick, standing medium kick, and her conversions are just make up so much for her flaws. Her V-trigger conversions are really, really good, and Karen is just a powerhouse. Does a lot of damage. +3 standing light kick is just really, really good for her arsenal, especially she can go into medium to medium conversions. And we've had some good Karen players. We had Jay Wong just showing that just raw fundamentals along with this character can push you really far. And then we have Mago, who's just show you just how far you can go with Karen, just with the potential of her damage is so powerful too, along with her insane normals. But she does have some huge flaws, especially like her anti-airs, where she requires meter, things like that, but that's what hold her back. But I still think Karen is up there for sure. Alright, B+ category. I think this is the part where people will start to disagree with me on a lot of things, because it's tough from this point. Because in my head, everyone's like, you know, all these characters are in the middle, and then we have the lower class characters, right? But I'm kind of splitting this into 4 more grades, so we're going to have some controversy here. Anyways, B+. We got Vega, Alex, and Rashid. Vega is a character that when you see a good Vega player, you can really see Vega's got, I think, the fastest movement speed in the game. He's got really good normals, but he's got some problems against anti-airs. His spacing has to be really good. He's got okay comeback factor with his V-trigger, but he does have some flaws for sure. He has, like, with Vega, you know, on paper, me and Killy put Vega really high before in the tier list because as a footsie-based character, as a neutral-based character, he is really, really strong just with the range of his normals, his conversions, and his movement speed. But the problem is that Street Fighter V is a very momentum-based game, where when you land a hit, you put them into the corner, you throw loop them, you pressure them, you shimmy them, and Vega just doesn't have that kind of insane pressure that a character like Cammy or Ken or Nikali have. Vega doesn't have that kind of scary pressure once he knocks you down, and I think that's what holds Vega back. Moving on to Alex. Alex, first DLC character. People have a lot of time to explore with him. He's the character I played the most, my favorite character, and definitely my main character. Alex is a lot of fun. Alex, even though he does have some flaws, he's got great comeback factor, pretty decent Oki. He's not exactly a full grappling character, but he's got some decent normals, a lot better than people think he has. And Alex can be really scary, especially when he starts landing those forward hard punches. He pretty much forces characters to use their V reversal against them. And then especially in the late game, with Alex players learning that you can parry the V reversal, and there's a lot of cool setups with that. Alex can be really scary, and when he lands his V trigger on you, the opponent is put into a really scary 50-50 situation where he can win the round right off the bat. Alex also doesn't have too many problems against projectile characters. His EX Stampede goes right through projectiles as well, and it's plus on block, which allows him to get in. And I think Alex is really strong, actually. I think he's one of the better DLC characters, and we've seen a lot of great players use him in different styles too. We've seen Infiltration play a really cool neutral with him, and we've seen other players play a really cool grappling game with him as well. So yeah, Alex I definitely think is one of the better DLC characters, B+. Moving on to Rashid. Rashid is a character that me and Killy on the tier list put him really, really low. I think Rashid has one of his biggest problems, I think, is just his damage output. You gotta open up the opponent so many times with him. Even though he has some of the best hard normals in the game, his standing hard punch and his standing hard kick really, really shine. Standing hard punch as a shimmy tool, really, really good crush counter confirm. Standing hard kick, for some reason, is only -2 on block. -2 is the magic number in this game. Could put your opponent in a scary situation where he has to guess if you're going to do an EX whirlwind, and his standing hard kick could just flat out beat throws when he's close. It's a really, really good normal, and we've seen in the late stages of the game players really shine with Rashid. At the start, you know, we've seen like Lemur Boy, but at the end we've seen like John Takeuchi, and we've seen Infiltration use Rashid. And even though I still think his damage output is too low, and we've seen how hard these players have to work to get the damage and to constantly open up the opponent, Rashid does have a lot of tools, and his V-trigger is very, very reliable at resetting the momentum and getting them to play Rashid's game for that small moment at least once a match. So Rashid does have a chance to come back. So I think Rashid is definitely moved way up than where I thought he was. Before I thought he was bottom 3, and now I think he's B+. So I think Rashid is one of the cooler characters that's changed on my personal tier list. Moving on to the B tier. This is just normal B, 3 characters: Birdie, Dalsum, and Balrog. Birdie was a real tough one for me to decide where to put him. You can't argue that Birdie is an easier character to play. His normals are insane. He's got one of the best V skills in the game. Excellent comeback factor. Decent V trigger. Even though Birdie's V trigger is really good, a lot of the times he ends up having to use his V reversal. He's got I think he's the only character with an armor frame 1 reversal with the EX Bullhorn. But the issue is the EX Bullhorn is really hard to do as a reversal because it's a negative edge input. But the problem with Birdie is that he has slow normals. Momentum wise, he has to constantly play neutral. If the opponent has to constantly play solid, he doesn't have really anything besides gimmicks to really exploit besides playing just a really powerful neutral game. Play Street Fighter basically. And that's what I think holds Birdie back. Moving up, Dalsum. Dalsum, me and Killy rated really high as well. The problem with Dalsum, he just seemed really crazy at the start, especially with watching F-Champ. But then we started seeing some of Dalsum's flaws where, like for example, his V-trigger gets completely countered on block with V reversal. That hurt Dalsum really hard. You make a single mistake with Dalsum, you're going to get blown up. He's lacking some tools that they're giving him in Season 2, especially like low normals that aren't slides. And he's just has such low health, and he's got to play in a really weird style that you have to start going in with Dalsum. You can't just zone forever. There are a lot of the higher tier characters. Like the game is a very aggressive momentum based game, and when Dalsum has few tools to deal against that, that's a problem. I also think Dalsum is very meter dependent as well to get a lot of stuff going, and it's just like I said, in an aggressive based meta game, I think Dalsum just simply has problems. Okay, moving on to Balrog now. Balrog is definitely one of my favorite characters that came out of the DLC characters. I had a lot of fun with Balrog. I think honestly that Balrog is my best character actually. But he does definitely have some flaws, but he's good against projectile characters. His V skill is very reliable. But I think Balrog's biggest strength is definitely his V trigger. I think he's got one of the best V triggers in the game. Absolutely insane comeback factor. He's one of the only characters where you can just activate V trigger raw and you're fine, man. 1 EX low it will lead into damage with just 2 bars that does more damage than a super itself, and you don't have to worry because it's safe. Really, really insane. But I think without the V trigger, I think Balrog struggles in the neutral, even though you think his normals are good. Like his standing leg kick is 3 frames, which leads into a target combo. But I feel like Balrog is missing some proper conversions and relies a little too much on just doing rush punch constantly. But with the changes to Balrog in Season 2, I could definitely see Balrog moving up, especially since it's rumored that his upper is a DP motion, making him more reliable. He doesn't have to rely on charge. And Balrog, like I said, he's a very aggressive character, but there are holes in his game if you really do understand the matchup. A lot of his rushes, cancel into his V skill, have holes in them, for sure. But if you're playing against somebody who doesn't understand Balrog, Balrog will absolutely just demolish them. But yeah, I really like Balrog, but I still think he's B. I don't think he's as good as Alex or Urian or Guile, for example. Okay, moving on to the C grade. These would be the characters on the lower mid. I consider C the lower mid, where the characters definitely have big flaws. that make them weaker characters than the rest of the cast. So for C grade, we have M. Bison, Fang, Zangief, and Ibuki. Let's start with M. Bison. M. Bison, especially in the beta phases of Street Fighter V, I felt like was one of the strongest characters. They definitely nerfed him a lot since. Bison has a problem because his movement speed is so slow. His Psycho Axe, the down forward hard punch, gives him +1 on block, which is excellent for him getting in. But the problem is he has no 3-frame lights, which makes it so if other characters have 3-frame lights, they can trade with him and just stop his pressure altogether. He's got to rely a lot on dashing, which is definitely unsafe. It's on a very set distance, and it's very readable when you're playing offline, at least. Bison's got to rely mostly on just frame traps, but the problem is his knee press is -4 now, and he just doesn't have options, right? His anti-air game is also very lacking, and Bison just gets down-backed really, really hard. Bison is going to be one of the most buffed characters for Season 2, so I'm really interested where he lands, especially with the Gray Life nerf, where it just regenerates so slowly. But yeah, we'll see where Bison lands in Season 2. Next up, we have Fang. Fang, a lot of people consider him to be the bottom 3 character. We haven't seen too many Fang players. Of course, we have Shen, who's pushed him really, really far and been really successful in tournaments, getting really, really close. But Fang obviously has some big flaws. For example, a non-existent V-trigger. He basically doesn't even have a V-trigger. It's pretty much just a roaming cancel. His V-skill is absolute garbage. I really hope that Capcom looks at his V-trigger and V-skill, and just his poison mechanic alone, I think is just not well done. There is just no fear whatsoever from Fang's poisons, and you'd think Fang would be like a zoning character, but it turns out he's a really aggressive character with his long hit stunning normals, and Fang just really wants to pressure you. But yeah, I think what's holding Fang back, it definitely is a reliable V-skill and V-trigger. We heard with his V-trigger that mid-combo he will not have to charge to do his special moves, but I think he needs more than that for sure. Alright, moving on to Zangief. Zangief, even though Zangief's got good comeback factor and only has to hit you, a short number of times to kill you, Zangief still has problems getting in. We know that they took out Zangief's green hand in this game, and he just doesn't have reliable ways to getting in. He's definitely a character who has to make really, really good reads to win the match, and to do that consistently throughout a tournament is really, really hard. Capcom doesn't want to make grappling characters too strong. Zangief's a really hard character to balance, because if you give him too many tools for getting in, people are just going to complain, because no one likes playing against grappling characters. That's one of the reasons why everyone hates Mika. And we'll see what Capcom does. I doubt they're going to give him something like Green Hand, even though we're hearing rumors. But they definitely buffed his Lariat and such, and it's going to make him much more reliable on his combo strings, especially when he hits him with lights. Like, Zangief doesn't have to worry about always just, like, hitting you with jabs, constantly trying to train you just so he can start throwing you for the rest of the rounds to really condition the player. But Zangief definitely has problems against characters that can zone him out, and even still, he has got problems with characters that can pressure him too, because his SBD is not instant like it was before, where you can just churn in between block strings. Zangief can't do that anymore. So yeah, Zangief. Next up, we have Ibuki. Ibuki, out of every single character in this game, I still have the least amount of information on. I know that Ibuki is very meter dependent character, one of the most meter dependent characters in the game, which I find funny because they gave her an EX Kunai reload. another meter dependent move. But anyways, Ibuki, like, I think one of her problems especially is just the meter dependency and her V trigger. 3-bar V trigger that does give her good comeback factor for sure. But the problem is that other characters, they got comeback factor and they got good conversions. I feel like Ibuki, she can only convert from her V trigger from a small list of things where they have to go into specific setups. She has to rely on the opponent guessing wrong to win with her V-trigger. Whereas other characters can go like, standing light punch into V-trigger into, decent conversions, and then they still have their V-trigger up. Whereas Ibuki's like a one-time use where like she gets a screen freeze with a bomb. Of course, she gets to throw 2 bombs. But what I'm saying is, going from normals into V-trigger is not the best thing for Ibuki, and I think that hurts her, especially when she has such low health and a 3-bar V-trigger to begin with. If you're a character that relies on V-trigger and you have low HP and a 3-bar V gauge, that's not good, right? Especially when your character relies on so much EX meter to get shit done with your EX kunai. I definitely could be wrong with Ibuki. I'm sure you guys can argue with me that Ibuki might be better than I'm saying she is, but the problem is I just don't have enough information on her. I don't see enough Ibuki players. Sure, we might have online Ibuki players, but that doesn't tell me much. I need to see tournament Ibuki players. And the last character we have in the C grade is Laura. Laura, a lot of people like to call her the poor man's Mika. The biggest flaw with her is she's got a poor neutral, and she is very, very meter dependent character. Now she has a really good mix-ups, and she can kill you in a second. You can get mixed up really bad on Laura. She's got some really cool kill combos. Some decent comeback potential too if you get your mix-up going, but the problem is it all requires meter. I like to compare a lot to Mika. Mika can put you in the corner just from mid-screen without meter, but Laura can't. She can't have that kind of power. She has to really hope that your opponent makes some kind of mistake. Her neutral is mostly her just charging the fireball constantly and hoping the opponent does something dumb so she can finally get in. She does have V-skill cancels from her normals that are just really easy to read and really easy to stop. Like it's something like what Ken players would abuse, but Laura, she doesn't have any other options, man, to get in. And like I said, she's very meter dependent. Her V trigger is pretty much just a combo extender. It's just her V trigger alone is just not powerful enough. It's just mostly used to extend combos and help you confirm things. But I'm really curious on where Laura's gonna land. There's not too much talk about Laura. There really isn't too much talk about her in Season 2. So I'm really curious on what they're gonna do with her. I feel like as a grappling character, like a grappling hybrid character with a fireball, is a really cool, unique design. So I really want Capcom to focus more on her projectile game in general. But I feel like Laura is one of the weaker characters in the game for sure. And we've had a lot of great players play Laura and show what she's capable of. But you can definitely see her flaws for sure. Finally, we have the last grade. There are no D tier characters. Don't worry, guys. D means just unusable. But we have a C minus, and that is one character alone, and that is Juri. I'm sure anyone who watches my stream or knows me well would not be surprised at me putting Juri in C minus. It's not personal, guys. I swear it's not personal. Juri is definitely debatable, but I honestly think that Juri is the worst character in the game. When I say worst character in the game, I don't mean like she can't win. I don't mean you can't get diamond with her. I don't mean you can't win a major with her. I just mean she's the worst character in the game. Doesn't matter what game you're playing, there has to be a best, there has to be a worst. That's just the way it is, man. And it just so happens that it falls on Juri. I do think that Juri has every single tool to deal with every single situation. I just think that all her tools suck. That's all there is. She's got an overhead. I think it sucks. She's got a great throw range, but she has no follow-up after it. She's got to build stocks to do combos that are not even that good. She has to get 2 or 3 stocks to even be adequate. And her V skill, I think, is absolutely terrible. It's just another thing that you have to charge. I feel like Juri has to always put herself open for her opponent to attack her, just so she can be on the same level as them, building the stocks. I feel like she puts herself in the corner a lot with that. I think her normals are really stubby. I think that her conversions are absolutely terrible, and just medium into medium conversions are just, oh my god, just getting a counter hit just so you can land core circle back light kick for just absolutely no damage. Her V trigger, don't even get me started with her V trigger. I think it's one of the worst in the game. For a 3-bar V trigger that drains so quickly into such scale damage is really silly. There are some cool things you can do with her V trigger, like sweep into fireball is really cool, but it's just overall it just doesn't help her with comeback factor at all. I think Shin Chain is the best Juri player. I watched a lot of his matches when I was learning Juri myself for the stream. I think he's an amazing Juri player, and I think he's playing her at one of the highest levels for sure. You can tell he put a lot of time and a lot of research to understand how to play this character properly, but I still think watching his matches, he's opened his opponent so many times, and his opponent still has so many chances to come back on her just because her damage output is so low, and she loses so much momentum just getting the stocks, the charge kicks in the first place. We're going to definitely see some Juri buffs in Season 2. I see that she actually has a medium conversion, which is nice. I think a standing medium punch and the standing medium kick, which is nice. and we'll see. Oh, and she also has a V skill upgrade for sure, which will really help her. She does have some tools against projectiles. It's just it's not that good where you have to make a read on your opponent. But upping up her V skill would be a really nice change, especially when you can combo into it more from other things that I've seen. So I'm really interested to see where Jerry lands. I don't think she'll be the worst character in Season 2. I'm curious on who will be the worst character in Season 2. But yeah. So that's it, guys. That's my quick tier list. Like I said, this was just for fun. Don't take it too seriously. But if you guys disagree with me on anything, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'll be more than welcome to keep an open mind and see your guys' points on what you think. But I just wanted to add some closure to Season 1. That's all. I just wanted to make one last tier list on what, letting you guys know what I think, and then I can come back to it in Season 2. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video, guys. It was pretty fun making this last list. And yeah, I'll see you guys in Season 2. Take care.